Say, hey, hey, G, hey, E, we represent, hey, hey, G, E, what else, what else, C, come on, come on, come on, C, just let's go, so let's dance now, it is my turn now, just want you, I am ready for your action now, just want you should cut off all distractions, it's all on you now, and just give me some reaction, just want you, girl, I like the way you move, really wanna get with you.
It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Abel Kawabuchi, and thanks for joining us once again. We are going to kick off the show first in the second quarter of the year, the second half of the year, I beg your pardon, talking about politics and all that has happened in governance in the last week. And here to talk about all of that with me is Bukola Ogunyemi. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been an eventful week of some sorts, but not necessarily in the way Nigerians expected as usual. There's so many expectations of President Buhari, which has continued week after week. It's the fifth week now, and it still looks like people are not sure what the situation is, besides security, which is the one thing he seems to have tackled, or seems to be trying to tackle at least so far. What's your impression so far?
Okay, fifth week, and the complaints have started already, which is expected. The burden of expectation is on this government. There's a reason Buhari was voted in, and even though we keep saying this can't be a miracle, this is governance, and it takes time to correct the decay and the rot in the system, Nigerians still want an indication of where this government is going, and so far there really hasn't been that. He's been keeping his cards very close to his chest, and but we keep hoping he comes up with a direction, a policy document for his administration, and then gets people in, and Nigerians start seeing results.
Let's talk about security now, which is the one thing that is obviously his priority. Yeah. And there was I saw a chart online, I think sometime last week, that tried to compare the 5 weeks of President Buhari and the final 6 weeks of President Jonathan, excuse me, and the number of people who have died, and the number of attacks from Boko Haram, and it's almost twice the number of what it was before President Buhari came in. Things have completely escalated. And why is that? And why doesn't it look like we might be making a headway? I mean, the military command has relocated to Maiduguri, which seemed like a great idea at the time, but it doesn't look like it's been effective so far. All of the traveling and meetings with our neighboring countries doesn't seem to be yielding any immediate results. What is going on with our security issues?
Okay, first of all, I think it would be unfair to compare the first 5 weeks of President Buhari with the last 6 weeks of the former president.
With regards to security? With
regards to security. Those were the 6 weeks that we can say Goodluck Jonathan did anything about tackling Boko Haram head on. Based on that, of course, he gave himself a good outing and bowed out respectably. But for President Buhari, it's all about starting all over again. Those were the 6 weeks of a 5-year administration. These are the first 5 weeks of a 4-year administration at least, and without defense chiefs, without a defense minister, without him having an idea of how really deep this is. It's about transferring a patient to a new doctor and just giving him a brief of what the patient is suffering from, but it needs to start an investigation. That doesn't absolve this administration of any blame that. Because we need to be fair. We blamed every single death Boko Haram caused on the last administration. So, for me, it's the responsibility of this administration too to find a solution to this problem, and it's one of their cardinal campaign promises to tackle Boko Haram. 15,000 deaths under the last administration, 300 to 400 already under this administration. So we know we are not joking here. Boko Haram doesn't care whether it's Buhari or Jonathan. So we also shouldn't be partisan about this. This is the time for him also to come up. What I would say for me is the biggest undoing so far has been the silence, which was what Nigerians so much hated under the last administration. People can't be dying under your watch and then you keep quiet. Your spokesman can't be around and not say anything. They can't. It's the lack of empathy. People are dying. These are families that hoped, that thought bringing someone with military experience and with so much more him can save them from all this. But it seems so far there really hasn't been any result from all the consultations and plans he's been doing. So maybe we just need to hop things a little bit.
Yeah, I like the fact that you brought that up, because I was actually going to go to that. The fact that it seems to be the continuation of that lack of communication from the government to the people to understand, okay, this is why this is still going on. Give us some time. I mean, yesterday we heard about a hospital attack. Today we heard about one in the church. Yeah. It looks like every day there's at least 10, 15 people who die, and there doesn't seem to be anything to say, okay, give us some time. We're working on something. The only appointments we've had, the major ones, have been the spokesman, of the president. So at least they should be doing some work. And you're talking about now, it's been 5 weeks, and security is supposed to be his priority. People are saying, are you going to fire the military command, the service chiefs? Are you going to keep them? If you're going to keep them, what is the mandate? You know, there's a lot of politics going on with the DSS and his own personal security. Yeah. There's a lot of this tribal sentiments now starting to creep in from people saying, oh, you're appointing only people from a certain part of the country. You know, and there's a silence. So it's very hard not to be hard on him and say what is really happening, because, like you said, lives have been lost.
And also remembering the fact that this election was held on March 28th. The result was announced on April 1st, and you were sworn in
on May 29th.
May 29th. That gives you 2 months to actually prepare for this. I said it the other day, we can't keep waiting for a long ministerial list. How about appointing ministers for finance and defense at least to start with? I want to believe coming in, you need those were 2 major areas you are going to need a lot of help with. We knew our economy was in shambles. It is still in shambles, and it keeps getting worse. We knew our security was in shambles. It is still in shambles, and it keeps getting worse. So how about you coming prepared for just those 2? There are lots of policies to tackle. There are lots of things to tackle. There is unemployment. There is health. There is education. Those things take time. We have time to. I mean, Nigerians don't expect our universities to start springing up on the top 10 universities in the world overnight. We don't expect all these feeding school children things to happen overnight. We don't expect our hospitals to be world standard overnight. But these are issues that lives are getting lost about. So we need this. We don't value lives in Nigeria, and I think we need a government that shows every single. These are not goats. These are not rams. These are not cattle. We need a government that shows that these are lives we are talking about. So, irrespective of whatever our government is going to be about, we can suspend everything else for now. We can suspend politics, we can suspend APC, we can suspend PDP, we can suspend NAS, and just tackle this head-on and let everybody know this is a priority and we are doing something about it. That is the gap that is lacking. We don't seem to know what exactly is going on. Same problem. So it just seems like the nightmare continues for Nigerians while there has been change in power. So,
and if we talk about security, we'll actually go on and on, because it's actually a little disheartening, or more than a little actually, to see that. I mean, 5 weeks, things seem to be getting worse. And like we've said, I mean, the silence is what's actually the most scary part of it. But let's move on now from security issues and go on to something that actually was quite interesting during the week. Was Femi Fani-Kayode, who was let off the hook pretty much. He's had this ongoing court case going on with regards to money laundering and all of that, and he's been set free. And it was quite the news, wasn't it?
Yes, I'm very sure Femi will be back in court. Whether he'll be let off the hook again is left for us to see. We can't convict him if the court doesn't convict him. Public opinion versus the judiciary. We don't know how strong his case was or how strong his case still is. But one thing I'm very sure of is, under this administration, based on their promises to tackle corruption, he will be back, because it seems to have a lot going on for him. It seems to have a lot going on for him, if not for money laundering during his days as minister under Obasanjo. As campaign director under Goodluck Jonathan, he seemed to get himself involved in a couple of shady deals and all that. So, based on his reputation alone, one is sure to. I mean, he's not going to go off the radar just like that. Would keep hearing from him.
Well, I don't know about him still being in court, but I know we'll definitely keep hearing from him. He's someone who's not about to keep quiet. There's even been insinuations about him coming back to the APC, because I mean, it's like he was there when the party was formed before he moved over to the PDP. There's talks about him maybe coming back. Do you see that happening?
Yeah, I see it happening. The APC seems to be a revolving door itself. So, I mean, everyone is welcome, whether you've been convicted, whether you're about to be convicted, whether you have clean hands. They don't seem to have any moral standard themselves to shut people out. So, Femi is very much welcome in APC. There are people like him there already. So.
Let's talk about something else that the court did. Buruji Kashamu, his case was dismissed. It's a extradition case. A lot of people seem disappointed. I don't know why, but I mean, like we said, the court has spoken. I mean, if they say it's that way, it should be that way, shouldn't it? Which
brings question marks over how prepared EFCC is to tackle many of these cases. I see EFCC trying to appeal to public sentiment by actually pursuing so many of these cases without having enough evidence to nail
which is the biggest
suspect, which is a real problem. So we keep hearing of court cases and then dismissals, and we are wondering when are we going to get one conviction to actually say you guys are working. It's not enough to just charge people to court if they are going to get off anyway. So maybe we should just stop that for now until you guys have enough to convict anyone. Don't even get us bothered.
Let's move on now to INEC. There's a new acting chairman, I think. Yes. I think he's still acting, yeah. Amina Zakari, she has an amazing CV. She's also worked with INEC for quite a while. And we don't know if she'll be retained or not. And there's a lot of stories already coming out from the PDP saying, oh, she's an APC member, oh, she's sympathetic towards the APC. Buhari needs to fire her and replace her with whoever the outgoing chairman nominated to replace him, and all of that. There's so many stories. And there's an election coming up in Kogi State, I think. That's the next state election that's going to be coming up. So whoever is going to be the next INEC chairman, or if she's going to be, needs to start and at least use that to prepare themselves to whatever the general elections will be in 2019, because we can't stay where we are with what we did in 2015 and how long and tortuous the process was. What was that? What did you think of that appointment?
Well, like you said, so many stories flying around. Some people even said she's a Buhari's mistress, which I think is very disappointing and part of what it is being a female in Nigeria. Like you said, we can't let Nigerians down again this time around. We seem to have fairly successful presidential elections, governorship elections not so much under Atari Ujega. Now we have permanent voters cards that need to be distributed. We can't again
wait until.
I mean, I don't know why now we can't start distributing the rest of the PVCs for people who haven't collected in Kogi State, so that on the day of the election, nobody's disenfranchised. We are not having 40% turnout in an election, which is very, very, very pathetic. So whoever it's going to be, and one other thing I was going to mention about Buhari's ministers and appointments like this is we need to have structures in our systems. We need to be able to run INEC and run elections without necessarily having an INEC chairman. All these political appointments make things drag. So I mean, I'm sure Kogi has a state electoral commissioner. They should start moving. They should start putting things in place so that we don't have a repeat of what we used to have in previous elections.
Well, thank you very much, Bukola. It's been a pleasure having you here today. We'll always be glad to have you back when next we call on you.
It's always
Thanks
a pleasure.
for being here.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Please stay with us.